Hello, I'm Waverly Hanson. I'm coming to you from beautiful Castle Rock, Colorado. That's just south of Denver. And I'm here to share with you on one of my favorite subjects, which is improving your marriage or fixing your marriage if it's not in good shape right now. The subject I'd like to talk about tonight is, I titled it, How Go with the Flow or Live and Let Live. And this is part A. There's going to be two parts to this because we're just trying to make them very short videos, and you'll be able to read this article online as well if you would like to. What does it really mean when you talk about go with the flow or live and let live? I think it means that you just allow other people to be who they are. And I'd like to ask you tonight, how do you handle it when someone disagrees with your point of view or your way of doing things? What are some of your feelings? What are some of your thoughts? And how do you react or how do you act as a result of that? When we're at work, we pretty well know how we should act. And even though we may have some bad thoughts, we generally keep them to ourselves. But often in our marriage or close relationship, we just don't do very well when someone disagrees with us. Here's some pretty awful sounding things. I'm wondering if you ever sounded like this, or maybe your spouse sounded like this. But that's not the right way to do that. I've never heard of such a thing. The attitude shown is, my way is the right way. I've always done it that way. And my family always did it like that too. Somehow that makes it okay, I guess. Often in a marriage or a special relationship, these conversations can become very adversarial. Who made up that rule? Have you heard the unspoken family rules are even more powerful than the spoken ones? The spoken ones are often said out loud, like, in this family, we do whatever it might be. But there's usually unspoken rules. And often those are very powerful. And when we are in a relationship with someone with an entirely different background, often they do things very differently than we do. And it's easy to fall into my way's the right way or my family's way is the right way. Sometimes we're not even aware of how we communicate these things. It's not just in words, but it's also in our body language, like your voice tone, like your volume, because all of us, when we get upset, we usually get louder. But it's not just about that. It's also about our facial expressions, about our size or eye rolls even. A lot of people don't even realize they're doing these things. So of course, if your spouse or your mate hears you saying some words, but they don't match your body language or your facial expression or how you're holding yourself or your voice tones, which one are they going to believe? Generally speaking, they're not going to believe your words if your body language does not match up. And that's what I was talking about, just to be aware of how you may be coming across. At this stage of your own life, hopefully you've discovered there are so many different ways of doing things. There's probably not just one way for hardly any task or any way, but often it's not a matter of right or wrong. It's just different, very different than what we're used to. And sometimes we may think different is bad or different is wrong. When we decide to play judge and jury, that they are wrong and they should do things like I do, it just doesn't work very well for our relationships. It can cause a lot of conflict and a lot of stress for you, whether you are the critic or you are the one being criticized. Neither one feels good. This is one that's played out in our marriage just on a regular basis. At least, like I said at the beginning, in other settings like work or other social settings, often we know better than to say these things out loud. But sometimes we say more than we should in our relationship with our mate. When instead you deliberately choose to accept one another and recognize that they have different ideas, different ways of doing things, but neither they are wrong or I am wrong. Many times we're just different, and it's really okay. We don't have to prove our points to each other. We each have a right to our own opinions and our own way of doing things. Would you please imagine yourself right now in a situation where someone tries to control you by insisting that they are right and you are wrong? Somehow they try to put you down. You feel that you're not allowed to be yourself or have your own ways of thinking. When that happens, it's absolutely normal for you to feel put down and defensive. Sometimes it's even healthy to rebel because we do need to be our own persons. How can you really put this into practice? Have you ever found yourself saying things like, or even thinking things like, why in the world would you think that? That's crazy. That doesn't even make any sense. What's wrong with you? That isn't even logical. Those words are bad enough, but what's even worse is many times when these mean words are said, they're said with a "how in the world could you be so stupid" attitude. Of course, it's no wonder that these conversations don't work out very well. For clarity, I'm going to be closing part A pretty quick here, but I'd like to borrow from part B a paragraph that I think we can leave that is more hopeful, because the part B will be all about some other ways to deal with these things. Good news. You both can learn to accept that you are two human beings with faults, since no one in this world is perfect. Choose just to accept one another as you are, with all your humanity. Please continue to read or to listen to the next video, part B, about solutions. And also I want to mention that I love hearing from you. If you'd like to email me and tell what's working for you or what's not working, or submit any questions, I really do make a point of trying to respond to each email that I receive. So I'd love to hear from you. And if you're okay with it, love to share your ideas with other couples. We can help each other that way. Love to hear your comments and ideas. And I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now. This is Waverly signing off.